The most isolated prison cell in America. The file no one was supposed to open. Hit subscribe if you're brave enough to follow what comes next. The words echoed in Jordan Hale's mind as he replayed the last message he'd received before everything spiraled out of control. It came from a man who claimed he had survived the most isolated prison cell in America, the ADX Florence Control Unit, and had information that would shake the entire justice system. Jordan had been a crime journalist for nearly 15 years, but nothing in his career had prepared him for what he was about to uncover. He didn't know it yet, but the moment he opened that file, his life began to split into a before and after. It started on a cold October morning in Denver, where the air felt thin and sharp enough to slice through bone. Jordan's phone buzzed as he waited in line at a coffee shop. Unknown number. The message was only 3 words. He didn't slip. Below it was a link to a private cloud folder titled Control Unit Records, Confidential. Jordan frowned. For weeks, he'd been following a story about a former ADX inmate who supposedly died by suicide shortly after his release. A man named Elijah Rourke, once labeled one of the most dangerous escape risks in federal custody. The official report claimed he slipped in the shower at his halfway house. Case closed. Nothing suspicious. But Jordan had covered enough deaths inside and around prisons to know that slipped was a word investigators used when they wanted the public to stop asking questions. He tapped the link. Inside the folder was a single audio file recorded 2 days before Elijah's death. The grainy voice on the recording was low, trembling, and desperate. "My name is Elijah Rourke. If you're hearing this, they found me. What I saw in the control unit. It wasn't discipline. It wasn't justice. It was something else. Something they don't want anyone to talk about." Jordan paused the recording. Around him, the shop's chatter faded. His heartbeat thumped in his ears. He pressed play again. There were nights when the lights went out, and you could hear them dragging someone down the tier. Nobody spoke. Nobody screamed. They couldn't. Doors were sealed. Voices died in the vents. But there was a pattern to who they took and why. And if you dig far enough, you'll see it too. Static swallowed the rest. Jordan didn't know Elijah, but he knew that tone. The voice of someone at the edge of fear. Someone who believed the truth was more dangerous than staying silent. And Elijah had reached out to him specifically. That meant someone else knew it too. Jordan finished his coffee without tasting a drop of it. Hours later, he was in his small downtown office staring at a wall covered in documents, maps, and old photos of ADX Florence. He'd already requested Elijah's autopsy, pulled public records, and tried to contact his halfway house. Everything bounced back with bureaucratic precision. Unavailable. Restricted. No comment. He needed someone on the inside, or someone who used to be. He dialed the number of Marcus Delaney, a retired corrections officer who had once worked briefly in the control unit before quitting unexpectedly. Jordan had tried to interview him months earlier for a different story, but Marcus refused every time. Today felt different. Marcus answered on the first ring. "You're looking into Rourke, aren't you?" Jordan froze. "How did you—" "Don't ask me how I know. Just listen. Whatever you think happened in that place, multiply it by 10, and stop digging before someone keeps you from digging ever again." "Marcus, Elijah left me a recording." Silence. Then the former officer exhaled shakily. "Meet me in person, tonight. I'm done running from this." They agreed on a diner halfway between Denver and Canyon City, a lonely stretch of road where truckers stopped to rest and locals rarely lingered. Jordan arrived early, ordered a black coffee, and waited. His nerves hummed under the neon signs flickering against metal blinds. Marcus arrived 40 minutes late. His face was pale, his hands trembling as he slid into the booth. He scanned the room twice before speaking. "I wasn't in the control unit long. They only put the newest officers there if they think we won't ask questions. That's what I did wrong, I asked. Jordan leaned forward. What did you see? Marcus swallowed, his eyes glazing with memories he clearly wished would stay buried. You ever walk into a place and feel like the walls were listening? That's what the control unit was like. Every movement monitored, every sound recorded. But the strangest part wasn't what we saw. It was what we didn't. He lowered his voice. They kept a list. Names of inmates who were never supposed to speak to each other. Never supposed to be in the yard. Never supposed to have their mail pass through the regular system. They were isolated beyond the normal rules. The rest of us weren't supposed to know why. Do you know why? Jordan asked. Marcus shook his head. Only that they all had something in common, something the Bureau didn't want getting out. Jordan's pulse quickened. Elijah said there was a pattern. There was. Marcus wiped his palms on his jeans. And if you found that recording, someone wants you to figure it out, and someone else wants you to disappear before you do. A crash sounded outside, metal scraping asphalt. Marcus jolted like he'd been struck. Jordan turned toward the window. A car had backed into a trash bin. Nothing unusual. But Marcus stood abruptly. I shouldn't have come. I said too much. Marcus. The man was already heading for the exit. Jordan tossed money onto the table and followed. But by the time he reached the parking lot, Marcus's truck was peeling away, tires slow, reaching across gravel. Jordan stood there under the buzzing street lamp, his breath visible in the cold night air. He didn't know why, but he checked his phone again. A new message. Same unknown number. You're next if you keep going. Jordan stared at the screen, heart pounding. The threat wasn't the most chilling part. Below it was a photo, a blurry image taken through glass. It showed Jordan sitting inside the diner booth, taken just minutes earlier. Someone had been watching him the entire time. Someone who didn't want the control unit's truth to surface. And now, they knew he wasn't backing down. The pattern they tried to erase. Jordan barely slept that night. Every creak of the hallway, every car passing outside his window, made him sit upright in the dark. The photo from the unknown number burned in his mind. The grainy image of him in the diner, unaware he was being watched. Whoever sent it didn't just want to threaten him. They wanted him to know they were close. Close enough to touch the glass. By morning, Jordan's instincts had taken over. Fear sharpened into focus. If someone was trying to silence him, then whatever Elijah Rourke knew, whatever Marcus had almost said, was worth risking everything for. He sat at his desk, headphones on, replaying Elijah's audio message for the 10th time. The background static wasn't random. There was rhythm in it, something faint beneath the crackle. He boosted the audio. Tap, tap, pause, tap, tap. It wasn't just noise. It was Morse code. Jordan scribbled down the pattern, translating quickly. BLOCK5. Block 5. One of the most restrictive segments inside the control unit. A place only the highest risk inmates were ever sent, and only for the most extreme reasons. Very little information about Block 5 existed publicly. Even most guards rotated out before learning too much. Jordy, and leaned back, pulse steady and cold. Elijah wasn't just warning him. He was giving him a direction, a starting point. He needed more than hints. He needed proof, so he drove to the only place that still held people who had lived through the control unit. Former inmates. Most wouldn't talk, many couldn't, but one name in Jordan's notes stood out. Darius Lockjaw Hayes, a former gang lieutenant who'd spent 12 years inside ADX, 3 of them in solitary. Jordan had tried to contact him months ago for another story, but Hayes refused every reporter. Still, a man who knew the difference between solitary confinement and the control unit was someone Jordan couldn't ignore. Hayes owned a small auto shop outside Pueblo. Jordan parked across the street, watching mechanics move in and out of the garage. After a few minutes, a tall, broad man with graying dreadlocks and a heavy jacket stepped out into the cold. Jordan approached slowly. "Mr. Hayes?" Hayes didn't turn his head. Reporters usually call first. "You never answered." "That was the point." Jordan hesitated. "I'm not here for a story about gangs. I'm here about ADX, specifically, the control unit." Hayes stopped mid-step, shoulders stiff. "No," he muttered. "Nope, that place is done with me. I'm done with it." "Elijah Rourke contacted me before he died," Jordan said quietly. That stopped Hayes completely. He turned, eyes sharp and wary. "Rourke? The escape guy?" "He said he didn't slip, and the audio he left me mentioned Block 5. Hayes stepped closer, lowering his voice to a growl. "You're playing with something you don't understand. Then help me. Tell me what I'm missing." Hayes stared at him for several seconds, jaw tightening as if he were arguing with memories he didn't want to revisit. Finally, he motioned toward the alley behind the shop. When they were alone, away from curious eyes, Hayes spoke. "You think solitary is bad? You think 23 hours in a concrete box makes a man lose his mind? That's nothing compared to what they did in Block Co 5. "What did they do?" Hayes shook his head. "It ain't one thing, it's everything. No yard time, no phone calls, lights that never stay consistent. Some nights bright as noon, other nights pitch black. The sound vents that carried everyone's breathing so it felt like someone was standing behind you." Jordan took notes silently. "But that wasn't the worst part," Hayes continued. "The worst part was the silence. Not the kind you hear, the kind they enforce. You speak, you lose privileges. You knock on a door, you get warned. You whisper, they write you up. But sometimes..." He hesitated. "Sometimes we heard people being moved, but no one ever came back. They weren't transferred. They weren't released. They were just gone." Jordan leaned in. "Elijah said there was a pattern." Hayes exhaled heavily. "There was. Those men, the ones who disappeared, they all had something the Bureau didn't want shared. Some were informants. Some knew things that could embarrass the system. Some were just unstable enough that if their testimonies leaked, it would tear everything apart." "And what about Elijah?" Jordan asked. Hayes met his eyes. Rourke saw something that made the higher-ups decide he wasn't safe to keep around. Jordan felt a chill creep into his spine. "Then why did they release him?" "Because someone higher than the Bureau ordered it," Hayes replied. "Someone who thought keeping him outside was safer than keeping him inside. They probably hoped he'd stay quiet. He didn't. And now he's dead," Jordan whispered. Hayes frowned. "You should leave this alone, man. People who chase the truth about that place, they don't always make it back." Jordan pocketed his notebook. "If you're warning me, that means you still care." Hayes paused, the tough expression slipping for just a moment. "I survived that box," he said softly. "Barely. But your wall, king into something even worse. You're walking in from the outside, and they have eyes everywhere." Before Jordan could respond, Hayes stiffened again, looking up. A black SUV had turned onto the street, rolling slowly toward the shop. Hayes cursed under his breath. "You were followed." Jordan's blood ran cold. The SUV didn't have plates. Its windows were tinted. It didn't speed. It didn't brake suddenly. It simply coasted toward them like a predator deciding when to lunge. Hayes grabbed Jordan by the sleeve. "Go out the back, now." Jordan sprinted through the alley, shoes slapping the pavement. Behind him, he heard the SUV door open. Then Hayes's voice rising, angry and warning. Jordan didn't look back. He cut between buildings, emerging near the main road. But as he approached his car, he froze. Another vehicle, a silver sedan, was parked inches behind his bumper. Someone sat inside, watching him. He couldn't see the face clearly, but the figure lifted a hand and held up a phone. A photo flashed on the screen, Jordan's office window, taken from across the street. They weren't just watching him, they were tracking everything he did. He backed away slowly and moved toward a busy gas station with cameras and witnesses, anywhere that wasn't isolated. His phone buzzed. A new message. Same number. Block 5 wasn't the beginning. Check the missing inmate logs. Start with 2011. Jordan's breath hitched. Missing inmate logs? ADX was known for secrecy, but inmates didn't just disappear. Records had to exist. Transfers had to be documented. Deaths had to be filed. Unless someone erased them. Jordan forced his shaking hands to steady enough to type one thing back. Who are you? A pause. Then, the only one they didn't find. Jordan's chest tightened. If that message was true, if the sender really was a former inmate from Block 5, then Elijah wasn't the only one who survived something the government never intended to reveal. And if that survivor was reaching out to him, it meant Jordan had just stepped into a crime far bigger than one suspicious death. He was chasing a secret the system had buried for over a decade. The survivor in the shadows. Jordan drove straight to his office, but he didn't go inside. If someone had photographed his window, then someone had been watching the building for days. Instead, he parked 2 blocks away, slipped into the back alley, and entered through the service door normally used by maintenance staff. Inside, the air was stale, too quiet. He stood still and listened. No footsteps, no creaking floorboards, no drawers opening. Whoever had been watching him wasn't inside now. Jordan locked the door behind him and pulled down the blinds. His desk lamp clicked on, casting a small circle of light across stacks of files. He sat, opened his laptop, and typed the words that had been echoing in his mind since the message. Missing inmate logs. ADX Florence, 2011. Most of the records were sealed. Even the Freedom of Information Act requests he had tried earlier were denied. But Jordan knew how to read between redactions. What wasn't shown often mattered more than what was. He cross-referenced public sentencing documents, parole records, transfer logs, and court appeals. For 3 hours he dug through data, matching inmate numbers by hand, checking who should have been transferred but wasn't, who should have been released but never showed on the outside. Then he found something. 6 inmates assigned to Block 5 in 2011 were never listed as transferred, never listed as deceased, never listed as released. They didn't appear anywhere after the fall of that year. Jordan stared at the screen. 6 men had vanished inside a federal prison, completely off the books. He pulled Elijah's audio back up and replayed the faint Morse code. Block 5. It all pointed to the same truth. These men didn't disappear. Naturally, someone removed them. But why? His phone buzzed. Unknown number. You found them. Jordan typed fast. You said you were the one they didn't find. Are you one of the 6? A long pause. Then, no, I was supposed to be number 7. Jordan's stomach dropped. Where are you now? No answer. Minutes passed. Finally. Not safe to say, but I can tell you why they vanished, why they isolated us, why Block 5 existed. Jordan sat straighter, fingers poised. Tell me. The reply came in 4 words. They weren't criminals anymore. Jordan blinked in confusion. What does that mean? The typing bubble appeared again. They became witnesses. A chill crawled down Jordan's spine. Witnesses? To what? Before he could ask, the service door behind him rattled. Jordan froze. Rattle. Then a key scraping metal. Someone was trying to get in. He grabbed his laptop and slipped into the narrow supply closet across the room, closing the door silently. Through the slits, he watched the hinges of the office door flex. The lock clicked. The door opened. Jordan held his breath. Two silhouettes entered. One tall, one shorter, wearing dark jackets. They didn't speak. They moved with purpose, opening file drawers, checking under the desk, scanning the room with small tactical flashlights. Federal agents, hired muscle, someone from the Bureau of Prisons? Jordan couldn't tell. But they were looking for him. He stepped backward as quietly as he could, heart thudding so loudly he worried they'd hear it through the door. His foot brushed against a box. It shifted. A soft thud. Both flashlights turned instantly toward the closet. Jordan's pulse spiked. He grabbed the only thing he had, a heavy metal stapler, raised it, and braced. Footsteps approached. A flashlight beam shined directly under the closet door. Then, Jordan's phone vibrated violently in his pocket. He flinched. The sound echoed like a gunshot in the silence. The door yanked open. Jordan burst out, shoving past the first figure, sprinting toward the window. He didn't look back. A voice shouted, but he didn't stop. He crashed through the blinds, threw his shoulder against the window, and tumbled onto the fire escape. The freezing night air slapped him awake. Footsteps thundered behind him. Jordan scrambled down the metal steps, skipping whole sections, ignoring the pain shooting up his legs. When he hit the alley, he didn't stop. He ran into the street, into the chaos of traffic and headlights. A horn blared as a car swerved around him. He didn't stop running until he reached a crowded bus station several blocks away. People stood in clusters under fluorescent lights. Cameras watched every angle. He was safe. For now. Jordan collapsed onto a bench, catching his breath. His hands shook as he pulled out his phone. Another message. Same number. They found your office. You need to leave Denver. Block 5 was only part of it. Jordan typed furiously. What were the 6 men witnesses to? This time, the reply came almost instantly. A program. Jordan stared. What program? A behavioral study, off the books. They tested isolation limits on inmates they thought wouldn't be missed. Block 5 was the experiment. The missing 6 were the ones who broke, or the ones who refused. Jordan's blood turned to ice. ADX. Florence hadn't just isolated dangerous inmates. It had isolated chosen ones. Before Jordan could form another question, another message arrived. I'll meet you in person. 1 hour. Train station south entrance. Jordan's heart hammered. This could be a trap, but he had come too far to turn back. Too many questions, too many lies, too many lives erased. He pulled his hood up and walked toward the south entrance of the massive station. Commuters rushed past, dragging suitcases, checking departures. Security cameras blinked overhead. Then he saw him, a Theo, man in a gray coat, face partly hidden under a beanie. His posture was stiff, cautious. His eyes scanned constantly. He stepped toward Jordan. Are you? A crack echoed. Sharp, violent. Not a gun. Something metallic hitting glass. Instinctively, the man shoved Jordan aside. A second crack. A pane shattered above them. Move! He yelled. Jordan ducked as commuters screamed. Security scrambled. The man grabbed Jordan's sleeve and pulled him into a maintenance corridor. They ran through dim tunnels until they reached a fire exit that led outside into the freezing night. The man finally stopped, gasping. Jordan faced him. "Who are you?" The man looked up. His eyes were hollow, haunted, but alive. "Elijah Rourke didn't slip," he said. "They killed him, just like they killed the 6. And now they want me gone too." Jordan's throat tightened. "So you're the survivor?" The man nodded slowly. "My name is Wat Jonas Cade, and I'm going to help you expose everything." Jordan stared at him. A man who had survived the control unit, survived the silence, survived the experiment designed to crush the human mind. This wasn't just a story anymore. It was a war. A war buried under concrete, redacted documents and the cold walls of America's most secure prison. Jonas looked over his shoulder. "We don't have long. If you want the truth, follow me and don't look back." Jordan swallowed hard. He stepped forward and didn't look back. If you thought this story was intense, you're not ready for what comes next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it.